The excitement surrounding the Hannah Montana 20th anniversary reunion has reached a level no one really expected, but at the center of all that excitement is a question that's impossible to ignore. Why isn't Emily Osment part of it? Why is Lilly Truscott, the one person who knew Miley Stewart better than anyone else, missing from a celebration that's supposed to honor the show that shaped millions of childhoods? To understand why this absence feels so significant, you have to go back to the beginning, not just of the show, but of what it meant. When Hannah Montana first premiered in March 2006, it wasn't just another Disney Channel series. It quickly became a cultural phenomenon. Kids weren't just watching it, they were living it. They memorized the songs, copied the fashion, and most importantly, connected deeply with the characters. It wasn't just entertainment, it was identity, it was routine. It was something you rushed home for. It was something you talked about with your friends the next day. And one of those characters, arguably one of the most important, was Lilly Truscott. Lilly wasn't just the best friend. She was the emotional backbone of the show. She was the person who grounded Miley, who reminded her who she was beneath the wigs and the spotlight. She was funny, unpredictable, fiercely loyal, and completely real in a world that often revolved around fame and secrets. She reacted the way real people would react. She got jealous, she got excited, she made mistakes, and she stood by Miley no matter what. Without Lilly, the entire concept of Miley's double life wouldn't have worked the same way. And that's something fans are realizing even more now, 20 years later. Because when you revisit the show, you start to see just how much Lilly carried emotionally. She wasn't just there for laughs, she was there for the heart. She was the one who kept Miley grounded when things got overwhelming. She was the one who reminded her that being Miley Stewart mattered just as much as being Hannah Montana. That's why when talks of a 20th anniversary reunion started gaining attention in 2026, fans immediately expected to see Emily Osment standing right alongside Miley Cyrus again. It felt natural. It felt necessary. It felt like something that just had to happen. In people's minds, the reunion wasn't just about Hannah Montana. It was about Miley and Lilly. That friendship was the core of everything. But as more details began to surface, something became clear. Emily Osment was not part of the reunion plans. No announcements, no teasers, no social media hints, just silence. And that silence didn't go unnoticed. Fans began asking questions almost immediately. At first, it was curiosity. Then it turned into speculation, and before long, it became one of the biggest talking points surrounding the entire anniversary. Every new update about the reunion was followed by the same question. But where is Emily? Because let's be honest, how do you celebrate Hannah Montana without Lilly? Now, the first instinct people often have in situations like this is to assume there's drama, that something must have gone wrong behind the scenes, that maybe there was a fallout between cast members or unresolved issues that resurfaced. But in this case, there's no real evidence to support that. Over the years, Emily Osment and her co-stars have maintained a respectful and seemingly positive relationship. There have been no public feuds, no controversial statements, no signs of tension that would explain such a significant absence. In fact, when they've spoken about each other, it's usually been with appreciation. That's what makes this situation more complex. It's not fueled by conflict, it's fueled by choice. So if it's not drama, then what is it? The answer becomes clearer when you look at Emily Osment's journey after Hannah Montana ended. Unlike some former Disney stars who leaned into their past or returned to similar roles, Emily took a different path. She didn't disappear, but she also didn't cling to the identity that made her famous. Instead, she slowly and deliberately built a career that allowed her to grow beyond Lilly Truscott. She explored music for a while, releasing songs and experimenting with her artistic voice. Then she moved into more mature acting roles, taking on projects that challenged her and allowed her to step into a different space creatively. It wasn't a sudden transformation. It was gradual, intentional, and steady. And eventually, she found a new level of success in television, particularly with her role in Young Sheldon and its continuation, where she plays Mandy. This role gave audiences a completely different perspective on her abilities. She wasn't just the quirky best friend anymore. She was layered, emotional, sometimes flawed, and very real. And that shift matters more than people realize. Because for actors who start their careers at a young age, breaking away from an iconic role can be incredibly difficult. Audiences tend to hold on to those early impressions, and it can take years, sometimes decades, for an actor to be seen as something more. Every new role gets compared to the old one. Every performance is judged through the lens of who they used to be. Emily Osment has spent years carefully reshaping that perception. She's worked consistently, stayed focused, and avoided the kind of controversies that often derail young actors. She's built credibility, not just as someone who used to be famous, but as someone who continues to earn her place in the industry. So when a reunion like this comes along, it's not just a nostalgic opportunity, it's a crossroads. On one hand, it's a chance to reconnect with something that meant a lot to people. It's a chance to celebrate a moment in time that defined an entire generation. It's a chance to give fans that emotional closure they've been craving. But on the other hand, it risks pulling her back into a version of herself she may have worked hard to evolve beyond. And that's where things get complicated. Because while fans see a reunion as a celebration, actors sometimes see it as reopening a chapter they've already closed. Emily has spoken in the past about her time on Hannah Montana with gratitude, but also with a sense of finality. She's acknowledged how important the experience was, but she's also made it clear that she's moved forward, not in a negative way, just in a way that reflects growth. And growth often means making choices that don't always align with expectations. At the same time, there's also the reality of her current career commitments. Being part of an ongoing television production isn't something you can easily step away from. Filming schedules are demanding, contracts are strict, and timing matters. These aren't flexible arrangements. You can't just pause everything for a reunion, no matter how big it is. If the reunion planning overlapped with her work obligations, that alone could have made participation extremely difficult. And in an industry where consistency matters, stepping away from a successful role even briefly can have long-term consequences. But even with that explanation, fans aren't entirely satisfied. Because this isn't just about logistics, it's emotional. For many people, Hannah Montana wasn't just a show they watched after school. It was a part of their identity growing up. It was something that brought comfort, laughter, and a sense of connection. It was tied to memories, friends, family, a specific time in life that feels almost frozen. And Lilly was a huge part of that experience. So when fans say it feels incomplete without her, they're not being dramatic, they're being honest. They're expressing something real, because in their minds, you can't separate Hannah Montana from Lilly any more than you can separate Miley from her double life. Social media has been filled with reactions ranging from disappointment to understanding. Some fans have expressed frustration, saying the reunion won't feel the same. Others have defended Emily, pointing out that she has every right to choose her own path and prioritize her current life. And both perspectives are valid. What makes this situation even more interesting is how it contrasts with Miley Cyrus's evolving relationship with the show. For a long time, Miley seemed to distance herself from Hannah Montana. As she transitioned into her adult career, she made it clear that she wanted to be seen as more than just a Disney star. She reinvented herself, explored new music styles, and created a completely different public image. But in recent years, her perspective has shifted. She's begun to acknowledge the impact the show had, not just on her life, but on the lives of her fans. She's spoken about it with a mix of nostalgia and honesty, recognizing both the positives and the challenges. And that openness has made the idea of a reunion feel more possible than ever before. But while Miley appears to be embracing that part of her past in a new way, Emily seems to be taking a different approach, one that's quieter, more private, and perhaps more focused on the present. And that difference is what's fueling so much discussion, because it highlights something people don't always think about. Everyone processes their past differently. For some, revisiting it is healing. For others, it's unnecessary. For some, it's a celebration. For others, it's something they've already made peace with. And neither approach is wrong. Still, the absence of Emily Osment raises a bigger question about what reunions really mean. Are they for the fans? Are they for the actors? Or are they for the legacy of the show itself? Because when a key part of that legacy is missing, it changes the entire dynamic.
Lilly and Miley weren't just characters, they were a duo. Their friendship was the foundation of the story. It was the emotional core that made everything else work. Without that dynamic, any reunion will inevitably feel different. And maybe that's why this situation feels so significant.
Because it's not just about one person not showing up, it's about what that absence represents. It represents change. It represents growth. It represents the reality that time moves forward, even when we wish we could revisit the past exactly as it was. It reminds us that the people we watched on screen grew up too. They changed, they moved on, and sometimes their journey doesn't align perfectly with the version of them we remember. But here's the thing. The story isn't necessarily over. In the world of entertainment, surprises happen all the time. Just because Emily Osment hasn't been announced as part of the reunion doesn't mean she won't be involved in some way. It could be something small, something unexpected, or something that comes later. Or it could remain exactly as it is, an absence that continues to spark conversation. Either way, one thing is certain. Emily Osment's impact on Hannah Montana is undeniable. Lilly Truscott wasn't just a supporting character, she was essential. She brought humor, heart, and authenticity to a show that could have easily been just another teen sitcom. She made it feel real. She made it feel relatable. She made it feel human. And even now, 20 years later, that impact hasn't faded. Because the fact that so many people are talking about her absence proves just how important she was, and still is. Sometimes the strongest presence is the one you notice when it's missing, and that's exactly what's happening here. As the anniversary celebrations continue, fans will keep watching, keep hoping, and keep remembering what made the show so special in the first place. And whether Emily Osment chooses to be part of that celebration or not, her role in that legacy is already secure. Because Lilly Truscott will always be part of Hannah Montana, with or without a reunion. Make sure to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more celebrity updates just like this.